Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, and I'm joined yet again by Miguel Porter. Miguel, what's up?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long weekend.
It has a long, hot, horribly humid weekend. 4th of July.
Yeah.
How's it been going for you?
Good. Good. Got to rest a little bit. Got some extra days of CrossFit in for myself, which is not that common. But yeah, using the time wisely, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been like a slow, like a very long feeling week.
Yeah.
Like it started off like a slow week, and then of course 4th of July was on Thursday. It's Sunday now. So and then we had the work day randomly in the middle of that, which that makes it awkward. All
Yeah.
day on Friday, I felt like it was, a Monday.
I was like sort of on call. Our office was closed, but I was like there for emergencies, which didn't end up needing really to be done, but still have to check your computer every now and then. So yeah, but not bad.
Yeah, it was nice. And I already checked. Next year's 4th of July is on a Friday. So
Mm,
now 3-day weekend. Bam.
right.
Which I
Yeah.
mean, some people made it a 4-day weekend or a
Yeah.
5-day weekend. But uh, yeah, there should kind of just be like a general rule. Like, hey, if it's on a Thursday, that's pretty much a Friday.
Yeah.
Thursday's Friday now. And I've been trying to be productive too, but not too productive. Like I was first looking at like I'm gonna get so much stuff done. And then it's like, all right, well, let's get a little done, and then let's just relax. Like, let's get
Right.
a slow burn done. There's no reason to be exhausted at the end of this extended time to recover.
Yeah.
And that could easily happen. But yeah, you got a couple extra CrossFit workouts in here. You just randomly popped up on Friday to hit Helen, and that was your first time doing Helen. How did that go for you?
It wasn't bad. I think a 3 round workout is perfect for me. Anything more is a bit much, but yeah, I saw that I didn't have a score in Wodify. Um, and I had no memory of doing it, honestly, even though it's such a well known workout. Um, and it also seemed like the type of workout that I would see and not do.
Yeah,
Uh, so, yeah, it was nice to kind of drop in. And since again, work was kind of like on call on Friday, I was able to leave at a time to get in for the 5:15 class.
yeah. And for those who don't know, Helen classic CrossFit benchmark workout, 3 rounds for time, 400-meter run, 21 kettlebell swings at 53 or 35 pounds, and 12 pull-ups. It's a classic, and I was very surprised that you'd never done it before.
Yeah, I think it was probably the kettlebell that stopped me for so
Really?
long. Probably because for a long time I probably knew that I could do the 53-pound kettlebell swings, but wouldn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and since like running for a time was a good thing for me, and pull-ups are fine for me, so I think I had this expectation that I should be able to do it well. That kind of stopped me from ever doing it.
Really? I see
Yeah.
that workout. I feel like is more friendly looking than a lot of the other benchmark workouts,
Mhm.
like your Karen or your Kelly, where there's a lot of wall balls. Like so if there's something that's going to keep me like away, it's like oh wall balls. Yeah, I definitely don't want to do those.
Yeah.
Which that means you should go in to do them. But with Helen, it's kind of like it just becomes like a grip issue,
Yeah.
really on that one. Yeah. What not many people do Helen for the first time, supposedly, as far as we know. RX, so that's a new thing too. And the nice
Yeah.
thing is it's a very low number of pull-ups. It's a low number of pull-ups, but there's a big grip involvement in this workout.
Yeah, especially because of the humidity as well. You feel like you have to grab everything just a little bit tighter. And yeah, Helen on Friday and then the workout we did on Saturday, my forearms were just so blown up for both of
Yeah.
those.
What was Saturday's workout again?
So Saturday was similar to Helen, honestly. It was 3 rounds of a 400-meter run, 100 double unders, and then 10 front squats. The weights were 225, 155. I did 185.
We could have done that 225.
185 actually didn't feel terrible. I was really worried about if I broke it up, because we talked about it in the briefing, that the weight should be heavy enough that unless you're going RX and can do them totally unbroken, they should be a weight that you might have to drop it for one or two. But I honestly, with the humidity and everything, with my hands slipping, I was really worried that I was going to miss cleans.
Mm.
Um, but 185 worked out actually really well. I think it was a good choice. 205 probably still would have been not comfortable, but fine. 225 would have been rough.
How do you think you would have had to break up 225, or once you got it up there, you would have just dug in and got them done?
Well, I was breaking up 185, but I didn't have to.
It was on
Um,
purpose.
right. So the first round I did, including the squat clean, I did 6 reps and then 4. Um, then the next round I did 7 reps and 3. And then the last round I did unbroken. Again, really because I thought if I dropped it, I would probably miss the next clean. So I just decided to
Mhm.
hold on to it. I think 205 also would have been fine for me, just holding on to it. 225, like, again, I think the biggest thing there would have been me missing a squat clean or like having to struggle to power it and then going into the squats. So yeah, I think I
Yeah.
made the right choice there.
All right. Well, hey, I mean, if you absolutely had to, I think you definitely could have done it. But given everything else, this is only workout number 2 back.
Right.
Do you have like a schedule that you're trying to keep now with these CrossFit workouts, or is this whatever pops up and looks good?
Yeah, I think it's kind of whatever pops up. I think Saturday will be a good day for me. Um, since I'm already used to being there at that time, I think
Yeah.
that Saturday will be good. And I was able to come in at 8, do my back squats, and then do class at 9. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, on Saturdays will be a good thing to mix in.
There you go. And you got a PR back squat, 130 for 2, right?
I
That's a
think,
2 rep
I mean,
max?
it's a PR in a couple of years, but I think my 1 rep is also my 2 rep. So
Oh, that's right.
yeah, I'm pretty sure they're both like 300 or 305 pounds.
And the back squat is like right there too.
Right. Yeah.
Forgot about that you did the 137 or the whatever it was, 300 pounds for 2. I'll have to go find that video just to confirm. But
Yeah.
hey, we had a nice heavy double, and then you did a lot of front squats and stuff,
Yeah.
which in our next training cycle, we're going to be doing back-to-back front squats and back squats. So that was almost like a little preview.
Yeah.
Not the way we're going to do them, but still. Yeah. Well, this will be an interesting experiment to see how that keeps going.
Yeah.
The with the holiday, you know, obviously you have a lot of downtime, things like that. Were you watching any of the competitive eating that was going on for the holiday?
Personally, I did not. Um, I know for the hot dog eating that the guy who always wins has won again. Um, I feel like I
Defending
saw
champ.
some, yeah, I feel like I saw some controversy around that
Really?
recently. Um, Something with him. I know it's like a league, the competitive eating league, or like something like that. Um, I'm not sure if he'll be competing next year,
Hmm.
or there was something around that because they're very. It's the Nathan's like hot dog eating contest, so they're sponsors that these athletes have to work with are very limited. Like they
Yeah.
can't go out and just eat whatever or be sponsored by whatever food or drink because they're like so tied to specific brands.
Hmm.
So I think there were some issues around that they were thinking of like
Guy gets
kicking him
caught
out or
grilling in his
something.
backyard with the wrong brand of hot dogs.
Hey, I'm sure it's like a huge deal.
I imagine. I mean, there's got to be a crazy amount of money involved in this. I don't know. It's funny that they have their own international governing body. I didn't know this before I was looking it up before we were going to talk here. It is the International Federation of Competitive Eating.
Hmm.
I bet you they have memberships, all that stuff. It started in 1997, and they are a part of this whole, Nathan's hot dog eating contest. They have 10 minutes to eat as many hot dogs as possible. And this year, Patrick Bertoletti won for the men 58 hot dogs, and Miki Sudo for the women ate 51 hot dogs. And that's with the bun and the hot dog. And they have to do that in 10 minutes. And they're both defending multiple time champions.
Right. Yeah, that is something.
Yeah. Competitive eating is always one of those things that I feel like a lot of people are like that's like a definite, oh, I can do that type of event. And until you get 4 hot dogs in, 5 hot dogs in, and you're like, I'm tapping out now. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
58 hot dogs. I don't even know how much poundage of hot dogs that is. It's definitely several pounds of hot dogs.
That's kind of why I miss. If you remember the show Sports Science,
No, I don't.
so Sports Science, I mean, it's what the name is really. They would get these scientists and everything that we see with regards to sports. So, an athlete that jumps really high, competitive eating, or like a running back running through something, they would test the force that was like created in all of these different events and exactly how much it measures in whatever the relative or relevant statistics are for this thing. And they would really break it down on a scientific level to give you comparisons of like, compared to these land animals and how fast they run, this is how fast like Usain Bolt runs and things like that to really put it in perspective.
Is that the
But
show where they had like a guy race a giraffe or something like that?
probably, I know that they've done like, it was a legitimate like show with its own episodes, and then I know that they got tied into like ESPN and would have like little segments here and there. But I want to say I saw something about competitive eating, and they kind of compared it to how snakes have to like unhinge their jaw.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they have to do something almost similar with competitive eating, especially for the hot dog eating, where they just have to make it as easy as possible, and they do things that normally as humans we don't do when we eat. And the way of just like, I mean, 52 hot dogs, it can't really sit well in your body.
No.
So just like the science of that too, like how you have to eat this, and I'm sure air intake also is a big part of that as well.
And not drinking too much water and
Yeah.
things like that. Which I mean, they're typically dunking those hot dogs in like water and stuff to have it go down easier.
Yeah.
And they're also not chewing it all the way either.
Right.
So that's just going to make the digestion even harder, not as good. But I guess I mean they don't care.
Yeah.
Everything I've looked at this has said, like there's leagues, they have like their major leagues and stuff, but it's like they call it events, they call it competitive eating, a contest, but I haven't really seen much of them calling it a sport, which is, I mean, I guess, I mean, like a line has to be drawn somewhere on like what is a sport and what is not a sport. And you said earlier, you said these athletes, so like, would you consider a competitive eater an athlete? Like how, like where do you draw the line on like who is an athlete?
Well, I feel like now that's even separate.
Yeah, maybe we
What,
should go back to sport first. Like,
right,
all right,
yeah.
all right, is this a sport? Like the sport of competitive eating, because you could get a bunch of people around, and I guess if we want to split hairs, you could also argue what is a sport, and you have to also define competition too.
Right. Right, because to me, I think a sport is anything that can have a competitive aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Right. So even, I mean, there's esports. I think anything that has the you versus another person, or even if it's not directly head to head, you're trying to outperform somebody else, I think I would call a sport.
Yeah. Esports is like one of those things within what the last 10 or so years that has
Well,
like entered the arena of being like a sport.
yeah, I mean, I think we're doing that thing where 2020 is a vortex of time. I honestly now I feel
Yeah.
like esports has probably been around almost 20 years now.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Yeah,
I was doing competitive video games on ladders and stuff in 2001,
yeah,
but I wouldn't have considered myself an athlete. And I definitely
right.
was not athletic or anything like that.
Um, but yeah, I think anything that is a sport needs to have a competitive aspect to it. You don't necessarily, not everyone who does the sport has to be competitive in it. Like, even if we look at CrossFit, there are people who do CrossFit recreationally, people who do weightlifting recreationally, um, but there is that competitive aspect to it. And there is some place that you can go to compete in it, like a league or something like that.
Yeah. And there has to be rules and standards and
Right.
systems of operations to make the sport or whatever the activity is be cohesive and repeatable so that you can do this in this town, that country with any group of people and it's not going to be something new. So like in this case with the hot dogs, it's Nathan's brand hot dogs. And I'm sure it's whatever brand of bread they decide and this and that and how much water you can have. Like you have to have all that standardized.
Yep.
And I just looked it up real quick. The Google dictionary definition of sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that entertainment part in there, you know. But I
Hmm.
guess like it's entertaining, I guess, for the competitors, but also you have this outside factor coming in. I wonder if that's updated once they start to get in like games and gamers and things like
Right.
that.
And within that definition, it is still fairly vague. A lot of the terms used there, um, like even physical exertion,
Yeah.
what counts, and
Eating 58 hot dogs is
right,
physically exerting.
or even like those esports, like watching those, people are, I'm sure that they're sweating by the end of it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean they're doing fine motor stuff with
yeah,
their hands and there's accuracy and stuff. And that's if you're racing cars, that was like an argument I remember way back when in philosophy of sports class at SUNY Cortland. It was like, is NASCAR a sport? Like, are we gonna or is it more of a sport than football? Or like how can you compare the two? Well, they're going at high velocities. Of course, they're only turning one direction, but they still have to, turn it and have fine motor skills and reaction times and all that other stuff.
yeah,
So it's if that counts, then I guess you could count the esports as well, or you should. But then, is chess a sport?
yeah. That's tough.
When does
Uh,
it stop being a game, I guess, and become a sport? And it's probably that competitive aspect.
mhm. And it can be as well self-defined. Does the element that we're looking into want to be called a sport? Does it
Yeah,
call itself a sport?
the sport of chess. I don't think they say that.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not sure if chess masters in the comments let us know, but um, not to dumb it down, but I don't know if they would want what they do to be relegated into a sport category, or if they
Yeah.
see it as something completely separate, potentially higher ranking than some would say.
And with
than
the
other
physical
sports.
exertion for them and skill, of course, there's a lot of skill, but like physical exertion of the mind, like
Right.
you have to. It's an interesting thing to think about. Well, let's talk about athlete now. I
Right.
mean, all right, if you're you got your Michael Phelpses, you got your Tia Tumis, which that's a whole nother thing because it's our competitive working out. It's another one of those gray areas. Does there have to be a ball in order for it to be a sport or something like that? And goals, you have rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Are you going to say that those are athletes, but Joey Chestnut an athlete too? Because he eats a million hot dogs in 10 minutes. I don't know. He's still so trained to do it. I remember watching those videos. Remember
Right.
True Life on NVT or MTV? What was it? Kobayashi? Is that the guy?
Yeah.
His like
Yeah.
rival? They used to show him like lifting in the gym and he was ripped. And then he would do this training eating and stuff like that. So there's still training involved.
Right. And I think that's the aspect that I would choose to be like the parameter
Mm-hmm.
is if you have to train for it,
Yeah.
or if most people who do it train for it.
Yeah. Because you have people that just roll up and eat
Right.
those
And
hot
are
dogs.
just the best and whatever. Sure. So sure for them. But I think, yeah, if most of the people who do it have to train for it, then yeah, I think that's athletes. Yeah, because that the skill aspect of it and working with teammates in esports, they have to maybe they have plays or certain combos that they work on to get perfected so that when they're in a match it works cohesively just the way that they drew up. I think yeah, any training, any practice that you have to do to then perform on the day of, I think that allows for that person to be called an athlete.
Yeah. All right. So when I was playing Unreal Tournament 2003, back, in the early 2000s, and me and the team would get together and we'd run through the maps, before we had a big match against a rival clan. And, you go through the maps, like how are we going to get that flag out of here? Who's going to post up where, figuring out who's on defense, who's our flag runners, all that stuff, practicing different shots. That's training, right?
I would say so.
So we were athletes.
Maybe not as defined back then, but
Well, hey, I'm
currently,
I'm fueling with a case of Dr. Pepper
right.
or vanilla Coke because this is back when like vanilla Coke came out and like there was American Idol and everybody had to have some vanilla Coke. And I had my bite-sized Snickers bars and mini bags of M&Ms, and I'm fueling for my athletic performance here.
Yeah, I'd give it to you.
I don't know if I'd give it to me, but yeah, it's an interesting philosophical question to think about. How about this guy from the eating contest? They also have a gallon of lemonade chug event. Did you see that?
I did see that.
And Eric Badlands Booker, his nickname is Badlands, which I want to know the story behind that. That's pretty badass nickname. Chugged a gallon of lemonade in 21 seconds. That's that's
Again, there's science behind it. Even when you think of the jug in how liquid moves, you have to do that in the most efficient way possible. I don't know if you've seen the movie Beer Fest. Is that what it
oh
was
yeah,
called?
yep, beer
With
fest,
the stein or the boot,
yep, and you had to
and they
turn it.
had to turn it. I don't know. I think yeah, you got to call it that because there's a strategy there that puts you ahead of your competitors.
Yeah, I don't know what his strategy was. He actually just looked like he just took
Oh
it
yeah,
down.
yeah.
Like, and I was watching. I was like, well, what do they do if like it starts to dribble down your chin what are the rules? I didn't really look it up, but he wasn't really spilling a whole lot either. I would have had lemonade all over me. So his technique was pretty good, and he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Now, does he look like he trains? No. You know, I bet he just practices chugging water or stuff like that. And I was more thinking about how I would feel after that. You know, when you drink way too much and you just
Yeah.
feel that fullness and everything, that's got to feel pretty awful for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I suppose it's different than in eating competition because almost to save yourself from that full feeling of the drinking, you could probably fill up on some, not fill up, but get some food in you. Because again, if you drank that in how many seconds did you say? Like 20 something?
21.
Right. All the effects are after. It's not like, yeah, I think like he could probably just eat regularly for the day and just allow himself to consume that much. And then whatever happens after, happens after.
Yeah. I want to know. I mean, I want to know, and I don't want to know the aftermath for all these people on like
Yeah.
what's going on later in the day or maybe that next morning. You know, I'm curious, but not enough to look into it. You know, if it popped up in an interview and someone's like, all right, do you have to pee really bad 30 minutes after? All right, I'd want to know. You know,
Yeah.
like because I feel like I would have to. Or do you? Actually, it's probably against the rules to go and purge and throw up. And like, how do they monitor that? Like, what
Right.
are the statutes of limitations? If you just did a hot dog eating contest, you got to keep it down for an hour. No one can see you while at the event in the bathroom, you know, throwing up or anything. Like, what's the rule? I don't know.
I remember Man versus Food as well. Some of the challenges that he would do for like hot wings or something. Um, it was like you have to eat it all, then you have to sit there with like the hot sauce on your fingers or like on your
Yeah,
mouth, and you couldn't like wash your hands or anything for like 5 or 10 minutes after. And I wonder if they have that. I mean, it doesn't seem like they do because they really go into the festivities and
yeah.
celebrating like immediately after.
Well, I think they keep them on the stage for a period, and whoever the winner is, they bring out a platter with that number of hot dogs on it, so people can see what 58 or 51 looks like,
Yeah.
just to give the public a visual. So I imagine you got to stay up there for a while and do all that stuff, and probably once the festivities are done, then it's like, all right, you're back to your own time. I
Yeah.
imagine. And these like this Patrick Bertoli guy, he's not going to go throw like he's
Yeah. He's
trained for
a
this.
professional.
Yeah. Like someone else, like I feel like if you had to do that, you would have got sick during the challenge way before that ever popped up, and you're not going to win. You're like
Yeah.
the guy that got 12 hot dogs in, and you're just happy to be on the stage, you know,
Yeah.
just to be a part of it. Have you ever done an eating challenge?
Um, we have that local ish um, ice cream shop in
Hmm.
Albany, Emac and Bolio's. I think it's a very soft challenge. I'm not sure how many scoops, but it's like a huge bowl. It might be like 30 scoops, but I think you have unlimited time and you can do it with as many people as you'd like.
Uh huh.
But I want to say it's like 30 scoops and you can pick whatever toppings you want on it.
Oh, and you just
Um,
have like a group of 5 friends help you finish it.
yeah, so it's not like a direct, all right, let's put on the timer. You by yourself have to do this tremendous amount. That's probably the closest I've ever come.
Hmm.
I know that there are a lot out there, but they're not for me. They're
Yeah.
a lot of these challenges are very expensive if you don't plan on winning.
Yeah, like there's a local one where you can. I think you can win $500 if you finish this giant pizza with a friend. But the thing is, they always come with. It's not only the pizza; it's these 2 bowls of garlic knots of different flavors and these 2 liters of soda that you have to drink. And that's actually what would stop me is the soda
Yeah.
Like I've looked at some, like Murph and I have looked at some of these, and I'm pretty certain that at different points in my life I could have contributed greatly to like a pizza eating contest or something like that. Um, and coincidentally, it's like when I was doing like my most like training, because
Yeah.
like already throughout the day you're eating a lot of food, and your just body is a furnace. You're just like, yeah, I'll eat that pizza, and then that's you know how I joke around with you guys, like it's like, what about the the post workout Chipotle bowl, and then there's dinner after, you know,
Yeah.
like I mean I was serious. I used to have multiple meals after different things like that. It is very expensive though to do that, but you know, so it's the soda that I feel like would get me, and that's like a cheap move to have that. Like, is it a
Hmm.
pizza eating contest, or is it everything you got on the menu contest?
Yeah. A lot of times it is that where, they'll call it like an egg challenge or an omelet challenge, but you have to do, a whole separate plate of home fries and, all these other things. So, yeah.
Yeah, there. I always remember the man versus food, like not hacks, but like his like if he's doing like a ice cream challenge, and then he had to order the French fries just to break it up and get a little salty, you know, a little
Yeah.
something in there, and then he'd always be able to do it. I loved Man versus Food, although I'm glad now he's more in like a coaching role because he was starting to get pretty rough there for a little bit.
Yeah. The amount of training, like gym training that he had to do just to not become ill
Yeah.
was insane.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like I remember in the early seasons and episodes, he would like go to a gym and work out and do like fitness related things too. And then it started to turn into he was only visiting like the local nice restaurants, you know, or like dives and places that have like legendary food, and then do the eating challenge. And you can see the progress of him over time, where the producers were probably just like, we need you to go just be on a plane nonstop, and we need to bank these episodes. And you can see his health just
Yeah.
kind of tank a little bit. I'm glad he's doing well,
Yeah.
doing better now. But he got really good at it, and that's what made me want to do those things. The only one that I've done is local. Have you ever been to the? I think it's the. Oh crap! What's it called? The Warehouse Barbecue in Rensselaer, Schenectady type area.
No, never been.
They have the Graveyard Burger there.
Hmm.
I believe it's a 5.5 pound hamburger. The buns are half a pound. There's these giant buns. It was a pound beef patty, and then you had 8 ounces of cold slaw, 8 ounces of pulled pork, bacon, fries, two fried eggs, 8 ounces or a pound of mac and cheese, onion rings. Like it was just this giant thing. Brisket, it had I think 8 ounces of brisket on it too. And Murph and I have done it twice, but not in challenge mode. In just we're gonna go try this burger mode. Like we're paying
Yeah.
for it because I think it was like 30 minutes or something like that to finish it.
Uh-huh.
And the first time we ever did it, there was no water on the table. And then we're like, can we get water? And they brought these little plastic cups with a pitcher. And it's like, thank you, thank you. But we did that. That was when I was here in 2011, finishing up my internship initially, and I think I ate a little under 3 pounds, and Murph and my friend Troy each ate a little over 3 pounds. So we didn't finish it, but we put a serious dent in it. And then they give it to you in like a lasagna tray to go. And after that, of course, you have to go get ice cream now. So we
Mm.
went to go this place that Murph knew, where it was the Big Scoop, I think is the name of it, or something like that, where there's like a brownie in this giant 32-ounce thing of ice cream and whatnot. He and Troy got the Big Scoop, and I got a milkshake. I chugged the milkshake, and then I went and I got a creamsicle ice cream cone, and then I wanted a milkshake, so I ate the cone, and then I went and I got a milkshake, chugged the milkshake, and after the burger, I chugged a yoo-hoo at that place because I was so like dehydrated. And at one point, like everyone was silent at the Big Scoop picnic table, and I didn't realize it because I was like kind of like getting in food coma, dazed out mode. And I looked over, and my friend Troy was on the table, and Murph was like sprawled out on the bench. and we were all like dying. And then when it was time to finally leave, when we got in the car, Miguel, the smell of the burger was the most horrific thing. Like, because we were already way past the point. The last thing you want to smell is that burger. And I ended up getting gas, and I chugged a 16-ounce water bottle at the gas station. And that water was like sitting up here. And I had to pull over on the side of the highway there from Schenectady to Albany, and I threw up the water. And then when we got home, my friend Troy threw up all over the place. Like it was a lot of fun when we started. Delicious.
Oh, now that reminds me, me and my friends did the Hot Ones challenge.
Like you see on YouTube?
Yeah. So I bought the hot sauces. I think I bought a pack of 3.
Mm-hmm.
My friend owns a pizza shop in Waterville. Shout out to Three Brothers Pizzeria in Waterville.
Hey.
Check them out. But he, of course, has the fryer there, so he fried up the wings for us, and then we tossed a couple of them like fully, and then we decided to just do like the sauce on the side and kind of dip them in, and
like they do on the show.
That was pretty rough. Yeah, that was rough. We had to buy milk a bunch, and yeah.
Did you get the one that's the bomb? Is that the one that's on there?
No, we didn't get the bomb. But yeah, the like Scovilles or whatever were like super high for them.
How long did it take for that? Like I will never do one of those. That's not my jam. The hot spicy stuff like that. But I know I just watched Shane Gillis do it, and he was just dying the whole time by the time they got to the end of it. How long did it take for the heat and everything to go away?
Oh,
was the day was ruined?
We did it at night, so that was probably the best way to do it. No, it sits there. The first one kind of stings. I think we went progressing in Scovilles as well. The first one kind of was really stingy, so you felt it immediately. And then we got up there gradually, and it was just like, there's the burn, and then there's afterwards just the residual heat that you can just feel on your lips from it. That lasts a long time. Yeah. Like for the people who go do the show Hot Ones, I wouldn't imagine that you have to go on like another press run thing after. Like I think Hot Ones is like what you end the day with, because I'm sure that you're pretty messed up for a little bit after.
Yeah. And it's amazing how many celebrities they get on there. I saw they had Gordon Ramsay on there. That was an interesting one to watch. I watched Shane Gillis. Kevin Hart one was, of course, funny. There's a lot of really good ones, and everyone so far has been a really good sport about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think maybe it was Gordon Ramsay or someone threatened to kill him or something like that. I can't remember. Shaq was a funny one. Because Shaq was being really tough, and then he made that face to like, you know. Shaq was a good one. Anything Shaq does is always really good. It seems like Shaq has been around for forever. How old is he?
Very, very
really
old.
Very, very old. Wow. I mean, I remember I have video games with Shaq that weren't basketball games. It was Shaq Fu for the Super Nintendo. You ever play Shaq Fu?
I have not played Shaq Fu, no.
You're just Shaq. He's in a game, and then for some reason he gets teleported to another universe, and he has to save everybody from cat people and mummies, and it's like Street Fighter, but with Shaq. And he knows karate and kung fu, and you just fight monsters the whole time. So they should
why not?
They should make a movie. All right. Well, now, actually, I have no desire to do an eating challenge or anything like that.
Although, I think I'm okay.
It's like, you know, when you go into like a snack mode, and that like kind of like beefs up your food challenge ego. You know, you're like, oh, I could eat that. You know, and I think most places have these challenges because probably mostly guys coming in and being like, yeah, I could do that, and spending the extra money to do it. You know, it's if you make a good challenge, it makes sense. I don't think I would want to do. I wouldn't do any of the hot ones. The seafood challenges that he always used to do on Man versus Food, like eating the oysters or the clams, that I have no desire to do that. I feel like the sweet ones would be fun in the beginning, and then, of course, I'm not going to finish it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so much dairy and everything. The breakfast ones, I'm hit or miss with. Like the
Mm.
omelets and stuff, I feel again they would be delicious when you start, but of course you're not going to finish it. The pancake ones, I feel would ruin my day. Like it would be tasty for like a couple bites, but I would push myself so far into it, still not finish it, but my day would be ruined. Like I would need a nap and I would feel awful
Right.
eating all of that pancake. Versus an omelet would be different. Like it's just not. I'm not gonna feel it the way I would like a pancake type challenge. I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think I only challenges I would really do is something that when I ultimately fail it and they put it in a to-go box that I can reheat it later and eat it fine.
Yeah.
So like yeah, no breakfast food really. I feel like that stuff doesn't really hold well. Um,
No.
yeah, I'd maybe do like a big burrito, one of those, or yeah, like a barbecue type of deal. Something that even if I know like there's no shot I'm getting it, that I can eat it later and it'll be fine.
And it's gotta taste good. Like it's gotta already be good
Right.
on its own. Like if you got the mini, you're like, wow, that's the best burrito I've ever had. Because
Hmm.
that makes it even more worth it. Like the graveyard burger, all the things together, really, really good. I haven't tried it, but Murph went back and he got like the individual components, and it wasn't the same. It's
Hmm.
like part of it's like all of those flavors coming together and cooking it and melding made it taste really, really good. But maybe the individual, like if you got just the mac and cheese and pulled pork, maybe not going to be the best.
Right. Hmm.
I would like to try someday like a pizza challenge,
Yeah.
or maybe even like one of the team pizza challenges. And there's of course the chicken nuggets, like how many chicken nuggets can you eat, things like that. Really, I just want to see Mike do some eating challenges and see how far he gets.
Yeah.
I feel like he could do it. Yeah. Uh, moving on, we have a lot of sports stuff coming up this summer. Not just competitive eating, but we have the CrossFit Games coming up. We have the Olympic Games coming up. Wimbledon's going on right now, which I told
Yeah.
myself I was going to watch it, and I have no idea where they're even at. Like, it just never happened.
Hmm.
I was going to download or buy the subscription to the ATP or whatever it is app, the Tennis Channel app, and just never happened. If they're still going on and they have the whole another rest of the week, I might do that today because I would like to watch it. But it
Yeah, I'm
just
pretty sure.
when did they start? Do you know that late last week?
Yeah, I want to say maybe early last week. Yeah, because I follow Coco Golf, who we've talked about, and yeah, they've been posting a good amount. So
Okay, so the finals aren't today or anything.
no, I don't believe so.
Then that means it's next Sunday for sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, I might still do that. It's just one of those things where you just keep forgetting. Like if you don't have the apps or the channels already, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot to download that, buy it, and watch a full day's worth of tennis.
Yeah.
It just slips your mind. But yeah, that is on my to-do list. What are you looking forward to the most? Wimbledon's already going on, but like CrossFit Games or Olympic Games? What? And then if it's the Olympic Games, what specific sport?
Oh, it's not even close. It's 100% Olympic.
Mhm.
Um, I would say there are a few things that I like to see. I think swimming is fairly exciting. Um, but I think an underrated sport that people don't really watch a bunch of is volleyball, indoor volleyball.
Oh, okay. Is
It
outdoor going on too?
Yeah, yeah. They do beach volleyball and volleyball are separate. So beach
Mhm.
volleyball is typically two people on a
Yep.
team.
And that's the
Um,
moneymaker right there.
right, yeah. And it has slightly different rules as well. Um, and then there's volleyball, which I believe, wow, as a person who played volleyball, I'm having trouble with this. Six people on each side of the court.
I don't know.
But it moves so fast. It's a very intense sport to watch. It's only wide angle because the balls, they go so high and so fast that they couldn't like switch or anything.
Yeah.
It just has to be one like straight on angle of the court, really.
And I think that's okay with it being. It's not a big court, It's just it's pretty
Yeah.
intimate already. Is it? They do move around though for the beach volleyball, right? They'll show
Yeah,
close ups.
they have the different angles. I mean, for regular volleyball as well, they'll like change the angle when someone's serving, and they have the camera switches. They got those down, but yeah, it's very fast moving. I really enjoy watching volleyball.
I'm looking forward to the volleyball, more so the beach volleyball. So I think it's cool where it's just two people and the sand
Yeah,
intrigues me. On like you can really lay out. I always wonder. I'm like, how hot is that sand? Because that's what when you go to the beach, your feet are burning.
yeah,
Like and I think they're barefoot too, right? Are they
yeah,
typically?
yeah.
Yeah. Is that a rule? Do they have to be barefoot?
That's a good question. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I would maybe assume so.
Yeah, because I've never seen anyone, I don't think, wear shoes now I think about it. But like that sand has to be so hot. Like,
Yeah,
so what do they do about that? Maybe they go out there and scrape it and like move it around a little bit. I don't know. Or you just got to deal with it.
yeah,
But I do think that's cool. You know, the beach volleyball, swimming, especially now that like I'm doing a lot of swimming, I want to see that, go down and live vicariously through them. Like, oh look, they can put their head under the water.
yeah,
Like, because I don't do that. My head's always above the water, no matter what. Um, and weightlifting, of course, but like it's like you see it all the time, so it's like it doesn't hit the same way as some of these other sports. Like, of course, I'm enjoying watching the weightlifting, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna watch weightlifting next week when I ref this event, or I'm gonna
yeah,
watch weightlifting when you guys are at the gym. It's like it's just a little different, especially since I'm not like a big fan of a lot of the international people anymore. I'm really just in it for Team USA. It's like, all right, I want to watch Hampton do his thing, and I want to watch Olivia. That's more of where I'm at.
yeah. I would say with weightlifting for me, because I do watch so much international weightlifting, so much of this past quad has been watching what everyone does to get to the Olympics. And unfortunately, because of how the qualification process works, not every weight class has the best lifters in it.
Yeah,
Some of the best lifters are in the same weight category from the same country, and only one of them gets to go. So, really, the biggest battles were some of the qualifying events that they needed.
yeah,
And I'm not exactly sure if the Olympics will be as exciting as some of those other events have been. It's interesting because then we get to see certain lifters potentially get fairly easy gold medals, like Olivia Reeves. I'm fairly certain should get a pretty easy gold medal for her.
you think so?
Um, Purely
In the
based on numbers at this point, she's
in the
far ahead.
71s?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Because China's 71 isn't going. That
Oh,
would be her biggest competition. I believe what she hit at nationals might have been a world record total, or at least like the highest within the quad. But she really won't have many other people in that category push her at
yeah.
the Olympics. And there are a few other weight classes like that as well, where their biggest competition, um, won't be at the Olympics. So
Do you think that the way they're doing it now is productive for the sport, where the world championships where we can field everybody is maybe more exciting to watch than the actual Olympics, and potentially more prestigious because you have like these situations of like, I mean, you still have to go out there and make your lifts, coaching decisions have to be made, all that stuff. But if it's an easy gold medal, but it wouldn't be that result at the World Championships, I don't know. Should they change it somehow and have all the big lifters be there. I don't know how it's worked in the past.
Yeah, and it's never really been something that you can look at and go, the best of the best are always there, and these are the results. Because, I mean, we've had, and we do have instances where certain countries are banned, but not
Yeah.
a specific athlete. So that specific athlete can't go to the Olympics, even though they've never tested negatively, and they probably could have won. So we've seen that before.
And plus, it's like someone that everybody wants to see too, because like
Right.
people are a big fan of them.
And just countries kind of prioritize things differently as well. So even at some world championships, not everyone, some people are just weighing in um, and not actually competing because maybe there's a continental championship or like, some sort of games like how we have Pan Ams and things like that. Maybe there are other things that their country is prioritizing over worlds.
Yeah.
Um,
And I feel like
so
it didn't always used to be like that. Again, I don't know what the old process was, but I remember hearing more about people just going and weighing in once they switched to the whole Roby type system thing. All of a sudden, that's when that started to happen more. Or but maybe I was just oblivious to it before because again, I don't remember what the process was. But I feel like it always used to be like, oh, here, Lou's here, this guy's here, that guy's there, that lady's
yeah,
here. Like it was always, the faces you wanted to see, unless someone was hurt.
yeah, and a lot of that comes because you can do a process where they have to qualify where each win that you get or add up all your totals, and that is where you rank in qualifying. But this one was whoever has the highest total. So if you go in and the first event I think was Worlds 2022 and you get a total that's far and above everyone else, you technically didn't have to touch a barbell for the rest of the quad. There are specific events that you have to go to because everyone needs to be like subjected to a potential drug test,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't actually have to lift anything. So some people really, and as you deal with injuries throughout a quad, and some people go and maybe they'll go into a B session or a C session and just lift casually, or just go weigh in, not lift anything just to save themselves. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I imagine all of the past drug testing issues are what fed into this a little bit. Um, I don't know. It seems like it's an ongoing thing. But either way, I think everybody will do well. I'm ready to see Team USA go out there and kick butt, get some more medals. I think we have some big heavy hitters that are going, so that'll be exciting to definitely try to watch. So yeah, that I'm looking forward to, and of course, I don't think there's any racket sports, right? Because I would be interested in watching things like badminton or ping pong, but I think that's more of a Winter Olympics, or
no,
maybe
I'm
not.
pretty sure.
That's
I
summer.
feel like ping pong will be there.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure about badminton, but I'm pretty sure it actually might be there. Tennis, do they do singles or do they just do doubles?
No, they do singles, or at least they used
Okay.
to. Maybe they
Um,
switched it.
but yeah, all those will be there.
Yeah, so those would be the sports that I would want to watch. Swimming, uh, beach volleyball, the racket type sports. Maybe more so the badminton and ping pong than tennis, just because like those are like they're you don't get to see them often, and they're pretty fun to watch when they get in
Yep.
those crazy rallies. Uh, Maybe a little bit of track and field. That stuff's fun too to watch, especially when you have some exciting races.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be trying to tune in. I think I might again do something where I sign up for a month or some subscription deal to be able to watch it, because it just feels like you're participating when you watch it,
Yeah.
versus like hearing secondhand. And I'd like to participate as a spectator more for some of these
hmm
things. So
Yeah. And sometimes watching the clips online after it happens just doesn't hit the same as watching it live.
Yeah. Like you feel like you were a part of the moment. And then when everybody's talking about it the next day, you're like, yeah, I saw it too,
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'd like to do that more. Well, sorry to the CrossFit Games. We're we're looking forward to the Olympics more. I don't know. I don't know if they're going on at concurring times, and if they are, that seems bad because I feel like that would really hurt the viewership for CrossFit side things.
I know CrossFit Games is usually first week of August, so maybe depending
Maybe
on where things fall.
maybe they'll be wrapping up by the time the Olympic Games starts.
Yeah.
Well, they did just announce a workout for the CrossFit Games, right? Chad 1000. Do you see
Yep.
that? What do you think about that? Interesting
Yeah.
choice.
Me and Shy were talking about it as well. If you know what happened during quarterfinals, there was an event. It was essentially every minute you do a certain element for a minute straight, just for reps. And there were, I want to say it was dumbbell, but box step ups. And once the video reviews went through, a couple people lost their spots qualifying for
Oh, I remember this.
semifinals
Yeah.
due to lack of extension at the top of their
Wasn't it
step
just their
ups.
heads leaning forward or something like that?
Yeah, there were little things of,
Or was that the deadlift? I know there was an issue on the deadlift with your head hanging over instead of being fully upright.
yeah, same idea of just like, what is the end of the box step up? How do you show that the box step up is completed?
Yeah.
So a bunch of people got major penalties, which shook up the leaderboard. Some people got, I believe Tia got bumped from, first in her region for quarterfinals to like 27th, which was fine in terms of you're still going to qualify for
She's still going to win
semifinals.
the whole thing. She'll be fine.
But other people got fully taken out of their qualifying spot. So me and Shai were saying that that's kind of what we think. That's kind of like a Dave thing to do, is
F you.
kind of, or just, I don't know if he's trolling the athletes or spectators.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, it seems like they're gonna be doing a twist on it. So who
I
knows if
think
they have to like climb something 1,000 steps or something like that.
I wouldn't say I don't think Dave Castro, that is, would go as far as to troll athletes with a hero workout. I feel like those are a little more important and sacred to him to have that be the FU or whatever. I mean, they've definitely done that stuff in the past, but I don't think that he would use a hero workout as a vehicle for that. I think those are more important to him than people realize. That just be my take on it. It seems like it would be more in bad taste to use a hero workout as a method of trolling. If trolling the athletes is one thing, trolling the spectators is also another thing. I think you don't have to worry about the spectators. I think let whatever keyboard warriors are going to say in the comments of whatever things be just that. They should just, I don't know. Do you think that they should care about those people at all, or try to troll them, or have
Oh,
what they're arguing about in the comments weigh in as a factor at all? Like, this is a sport too.
right. And I think that's a whole other conversation. But I think CrossFit is the only sport where we can see this much childishness occur.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's
Yeah.
really the only sport where you can, as the season goes on, because you're picking and choosing what things you're going to have the games be, where we can see a direct reaction
Yeah.
before the final event. Like, you can't change the rules of football right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
And this, we don't even know what the Super Bowl quote of CrossFit is going to entail.
yeah,
They can
so
decide the night before. Actually, let's change the final of this because no one knows.
yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely in reaction to what happened at quarterfinals, but I'm not necessarily sure what that event is going to be. Again, he said it's with a twist, so who knows if they have to climb something or, more weight, less weight, who knows?
Yeah. I this is like also one of those things where it's like the people involved, like you don't see like the commissioner of the NFL, at least I don't think so, in the comment section or posting on Twitter or Instagram and fighting with people, but like in our community it's still so small, so you're gonna get the people involved like in there,
Right.
and some people are clearly baiting you out, and I don't think you need to respond to any of it. I do think it also is bad. I did see like some games athletes respond to it, and it should be whatever pops up. It doesn't matter what pops up. You are ready, and you'll win it if you're truly the fittest. The fittest. That's part of the premise of it. The unknown and the unknowable, and the unknown and the unknowable isn't always going to be spectator friendly. I think CrossFit's kind of like in a weird spot of like, does every event have to be spectator friendly, and do we have to do things that are entertaining to the fans, or are we trying to find tests that find the fittest person for that year, and not every test is going to be sexy. So I think they could just do straight up Chad, and it's like, hey, it's not sexy, but not every workout you're going to do is sexy.
Right.
So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? I thought that as being the defending champ, what's her name? Laura Horvath. I saw she posted like WTF, what is this or whatever. I was like, well, if that's really like her reaction to it, I don't think that's a good reaction for any champion to have to it. Like, if anything, she should be supportive of it and be like, hey, I'm looking forward to winning that event. You know, I don't think I saw Tia have a negative reaction to it, and it's like, I think like that just shows right there. It's like, all right, if Tia beats you, is it because this event?
Well,
Or
let's not bring our own biases
I
into
know,
that already. Um,
Team Tia. But all right,
she's complained about workouts before.
all right, all right. Let's take that out. But what do you go back to what I originally said? What do you think about that?
What, making it watchable?
Yeah, like does it have to be? Does every event have to be sexy? Like we've done running workouts, we've done long endurance workouts, and every time they pop up, people complain. But it's like, what do you? We have to do some of these things.
Well, the question is, what do they want CrossFit to be? I think at the end of the day, um, when you're making your deals with CBS and ESPN, and people have to get, like last year, there were some events that were only on, ESPN Plus, and you want people to watch your sport. You want to grow your sport because you're going to these outside outlets. Um, if you're leaning in that direction, then yeah, if I'm then signing up for ESPN Plus, that event that I'm watching better be watchable.
I think you can have it both ways. I
Right.
mean, there's plenty of sports that have aspects of them that are televised and other aspects that aren't, right? And this could be it. If you're doing the 5K, you don't really like, you can have some commentary and a camera follow or whatever, and but that doesn't need to, that of course you're not going to put on ESPN. So that like there is some like programming on when you're going to put these events and when you're going to advertise that you're televising them. I think that all plays into it. Yeah, I think you need that for sure. You want to
Yeah.
have the metcons be televisable or the heavy lifting, but I think that that doesn't mean that you can't ever do, let's just say a 5K. Like that's a valid test to do.
Right. But again, I think it's a decision that has to be made. It seems like you take the last 4 years, it seems like they're looking for something different each year. I mean, they've done documentaries where they talk about the whole point of the games is to make it a spectacle. Do we need Rogue to build a rig that goes across the whole floor? Do they need to be doing each bar muscle up on the 4 separate bars to show their progress? or can they just be on one bar doing those bar muscle ups? But you're trying to, or at least they were trying to show something. But I think if they do something and stick to it, where we go, these are just the tests that we think will show who the fittest is at the end. We don't care about what it looks like, then people will just have to deal with that. But I think there's such a contradicting values that are at play when people are watching the games that they are having trouble with.
I can definitely see that. And I would say I would hope that they would walk a fine line on, of course, you're going to have things that are spectacles. And there's so many workouts that could be spectacle ish, like whether it's a heavy thing. I thought that the Elizabeth that they did, where they're walking on the parallel bars and doing dips and stuff, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to see it turn into a circus, where.
Right. Which people have said with, when they, the whole other thing of unknown and unknowable, where, they did the opposite facing handstand push-ups where none of the athletes knew really what the standards were and they weren't well explained, or the freestanding handstand push-ups where they're walking down handstand walking to each implement, where these are new implements that we don't really know what the standards are, and people are going out there and kind of looking silly. So part of it is spectacle, and
I think you need to protect the athletes to not look silly because of the programming. If they're going to look silly because of their own fault or fitness, whatever.
Right.
But it shouldn't be that you put them in a situation where they look dumb.
And it's not a good look to someone who is maybe flipping through the channels and sees the CrossFit Games, and then, all people know about CrossFit really are butterfly pull-ups, which they already think are silly. And they turn and they see people the first time they did crossovers with people not even knowing what they were doing. And it's not always a good look.
Well, that's why part of the programming should maybe be when are our TV spots? And then all right, these are the things that we want to represent our community. And there's going to be day 1, day 2, day 3. This is the TV spots. Now we set that in and it makes sense. And then we program the rest of the test around. I know that they would hate to do that, but I there's got to be some way to kind of figure that out on what is appropriate for the general public, what is appropriate for the competition as a whole, what do you need to do, and then of course you can spice it up here and there with some things. Like the obstacle course race they did, I think that stuff was cool when they implemented those things.
Yeah, that's something that, again, like I've said before, I got into CrossFit from watching a rerun of the CrossFit Games on ESPN. And that's something, if I saw the obstacle course, that's something that probably would have got me more interested in CrossFit, where it's not necessarily something that you do in the gym all the time, but, if these are what these athletes are doing, that's something cool that I want to know more about.
Or it catches the attention of the people that are in the Spartan race community, which is gigantic. There's so many people that do that don't even train. They don't train for it. They're runners, but they do that because it's fun. You're aware of a group of friends, and then you see that, and then you're like, well, oh, this is a part of CrossFit. What is CrossFit? And then you start to, next thing you know, you're in a gym. I think that's cool. I don't know if they're going to bring it back. I do think it's cool when they do the community events on hey, not only we're running a 5K at the games, but that's the programmed workout and everybody should do it, type of thing. I'm just using the 5K as an example. But
we know that there was some controversy around that as well.
Oh, the distance? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There have been some fumbles in recent years that I don't remember being an issue in the way past that they should tighten up. They need to get people who know what they're doing. There needs to be some more checks and balances, whatever. And I wonder if it's because it's a mix of old ways and new ways clashing together that there's a loss of communication somewhere. I don't know. I don't know how that's all going down on why that's happening. It's just in the open. using the wrong weights or this or that, or saying what the standard is and then not upholding the standard clearly on the live stream. Like that stuff just shouldn't happen.
Right. Yeah.
And with to go back about the people losing their spots on the standards, if you want to be a serious sport, I think you have to do that. The
Yeah.
standard is the
100%.
standard. I literally today saw a video because I get all these swimming videos now. This kid won a race. It was like a big deal. He won this race and he was celebrating. His teammate was next to him who was also done with the race. So he went into his lane to celebrate and they're hugging and stuff. But if you go into another swimmer's lane, this is instant disqualification. So he was up on the deck celebrating all these things, and then it was announced lane number 4 disqualified, entering another swimmer's lane. And apparently this has happened a bunch of times before at like big events. You win the big one, Miguel. Of course you're excited. So you swim over there, and then no, you didn't win it now. And
Right.
people are mad at the officials, but it's like, one, the standard is the standard. You have people to uphold the standard for a reason. If they don't uphold the standard, that's now unfair to everybody else in the pool, who didn't enter another player's lane.
And it's unfair to that athlete later on, because same thing with weightlifting. It's like touching the bar with your foot. If you do it, if you finish your lift, you drop the bar and you stop that bar with your foot at a very small local meet and nobody says anything and you continue to do that, you finally get to states or a level higher and you do it, and that lift gets called an L lift and you have no idea why, because you do it all the time. It's not gonna help you at all.
Yeah. I've reffing at these national meets or like the state level meets. I see that so much. And not only is the athlete confused, their coaches are confused too, because their coaches clearly don't know the rule. And now there's an argument that everyone's mad, all kinds of things. That's going to, of course, affect the lifter. So, or I think in some situations, they've been taught to do it that way because they'll get away with it at the local level and they'll qualify with it. And then they keep doing it. And then all of a sudden, especially at an A session, the jury's like, all of a sudden that pause comes in, the little yellow bars on the computer screen. Oh, when the jury like pauses things, everything turns yellow on the screens. You're like, oh, something big's going down. And you already know that lift's getting turned away. And that sucks. There was one athlete who lost multiple lifts in a row because after showing control to do the jerk, this is what they started doing.
Yep.
And it's like, if I can see it clear as day on the TV in the back, sitting at the marshal table, I'm like, there's no way they're getting that lift. And all of a sudden the jury chimes in. It's like, you've gotten away with that way too long. Yeah. And it could be too, I think sometimes at the local level, not so much maybe in ours, but I can just guarantee you across the country, some athletes don't get called because people are afraid to call it. Either because it's that athlete or because of their coach, or potentially I think sometimes the lift is big enough where it's like, well, you can't red light that. And it's like
100%.
You should red light that. You should all day. Even if they only got one, you should just like fire that shot across the bow there just to let them know, hey, because it won't fly at nationals and these other things. So yeah, it's unfortunate when people don't uphold the standard and you get into the situation of convincing yourself on why the standard shouldn't be upheld. And now when it is, you're shocked like that one swimmer,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like he could have celebrated a million other ways. I felt bad, of course, and then it's like you see in the comments, every lifter should have withdrew and when I was like, really? But why? Like they trained just as hard to get there. You want the guy that now is I think his teammate was second, so he got the gold medal. And he said, this medal should go to my teammate. Did you withdraw or as well? Are you saying like you still took that medal? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough thing. And then it's tough when the organization, like in CrossFit, doesn't uphold the standards where Pistols is a great one. You watch Pistols the games and you're like, they're just not calling it. And
Yeah.
sometimes you wonder, are they not calling it because it's him or her, and they're afraid to? Because sometimes you do see the athletes yelling at the judges.
And I mean, it's also that thing of, sports are doing more video reviews, and you can see how much it slows down, like baseball or soccer when they have to do VAR. And
Yeah.
our view from cameras is so different from a
Oh, yeah.
referee's view. And it's important now that we do. It's hard with a sport like CrossFit because it's competitive racing.
Yeah.
Basketball, you can stop play. Everyone has to stop while we send it to New York and they look and they see, was this out of bounds? Whose finger touched it last? Things like that.
Wait, is that what happens? No matter where the game is, it goes to a review team in New York?
Depending on the call. If someone's not able to call it, it'll stop and, they'll decide. Other times they have to send it off and there's like a video review team I know for football specifically, they send it to New York where that
Oh,
team
wow.
is. And the game will get paused for minutes because they have to do that. And
You can't
they're
do that in CrossFit.
right. And even within these sports where they do it now, people question if that should be a part of the game. Part of the game is the referees and their calls.
Yeah.
If somebody gets no repped a bunch by a judge and those were good reps, sorry, that's a part of the game.
I can see that. I mean, I think doing it, the pausing of the game in a football game, sending it to New York, it's several minutes. I think that helps mitigate the cheating aspect of the referee was paid off or something like that. Like, because you've heard those horror stories of like, man, this team was getting just such bad calls, and
Right.
it's clearly corruption from the referees. And I think we're far from that in CrossFit. Far, far from that. I think maybe it might just be, like, I think in CrossFit, it's just like with your coaching, you're having a bad day. Like, you're not seeing things the way you
Right.
should be. You're not making the corrections like you should be. And you're just as involved in the heat of the moment. You're feeling pressure because CrossFit's unique where the referee is there with the athlete. They're like a combo duo. So all eyes are on you as well as the athlete. They see you right there. They can hear you. And then the athlete can actually turn and talk to you versus at a weightlifting meet, that doesn't happen. And plus, you'll get ignored. Like, you just be stone faces looking right back at you. No one's going to tell you, or at least they shouldn't tell you why you didn't get that last lift. And then the next athlete's getting called too. The clock is starting right away.
Right. So it's tough for CrossFit. These people are volunteers. They don't get paid.
True.
So, how tightly can we hold on to something? Like if they miss something,
Yeah.
they're not.
I think remove them or replace them after. And I don't know if there's a way
I feel like
do that mid Mekon where like clearly the head judges and the powers that be are like, wow, James is blowing it now. These are all good reps, and he's just, I don't know what's going. At least going over there, check in and be like, all right, we have to switch you out. And like, I don't know how you could do that,
Yeah, I don't think that's that's not a part of the game. They even had level 4 coaches doing reffing at last year's games too, and they're also missing calls. But again, what we see versus what they see, it's like a squat video where depending on the angle that the camera's at, some squats look like completely buried, below depth, all good. At another angle, it looks close.
Yeah.
And
you don't know what they've been told.
Right. So it's tough and the speed, again, at which these athletes have to move and the speed at which you have to count and look at the top of the rep, at the bottom of the rep. Of course, when these pages, take clips from games and they zoom in and they slow it down, of course, from there you can see, I mean, You know how many clean and jerks could probably be called a press out if you slow it down and do this
A
and that.
lot.
It's yeah, so it's tough. I mean, the
And
judging
then you
is
have the
the
argument
judging.
of like, should we even have that be a rule anymore?
Right.
Anyways,
So the judging is the judging. You can't do too much with that.
yeah,
Calls are
I
going to
think
get missed. Calls get missed in every game. Even with these video reviews in these sports, calls get missed so many times in the game, and that's a part of the game.
I wish we could go back before the time of every decision. I guess maybe just let's focus on CrossFit, uh, ending up on Instagram or YouTube and analyzed by someone who wasn't even at the event,
Right.
and may not even be a coach seeing reps themselves all the time. And I don't know. I kind of miss that a little bit. Like I think that these videos are largely unproductive. Like what are they
Yeah.
outside of riling people up and getting more people that are also removed from it and don't volunteer at local events and stuff, chiming together and saying stuff? What does it accomplish? It just made a bunch of outrage and got you views and clicks. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's productive to the sport as a whole.
Hmm.
Like, is it actually bringing change? Because it just seems, especially in CrossFit stance, they'll just double down and dig in.
Yeah.
That's what they do, you know. So I don't think it's helping, especially bringing the issues forward in the format that it's being done. All right, Miguel makes a video of James reffing at nationals, and he dissects all of my decisions and shows how I was actually wrong 75% of the time, and then puts it out there in the world and trashes me and all this stuff, trying to spark a positive change. Way after the fact, do you actually come to talk to me?
Hmm.
What kind of response do you expect to have after already you've dragged me and then you got what you needed to, the monetization of the video, the clicks, the views, and then I look through the comments of all these people I don't know shitting on me as well, and then now you want to come to me and the organization I'm a part of and be like, hey, I've got ideas on how we can make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to listen to you.
And you're just making people look for something.
That may not
So
even be there.
yeah, people are now watching the games, watching semifinals, and they're looking for missed calls instead of watching the sport. They're looking for, oh, someone's doing an overhead squat. I bet you some of these reps aren't good, but they're going to
Yeah.
call them. I
Yeah.
can't wait for it. And they literally cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, that's what the entertainment is now. And that's not going to have, I think, in the long term, unless the keyboard warriors are like, you know what? We're going to start volunteering. We're going to start doing stuff. It's going to make the people who are volunteering being like, I don't want to be in a video.
Right.
I have a wife and kids and a business. I was doing this was my Saturday and I decided to do this and help out. It's going to make people not want to volunteer. Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing. And you don't see this in other sports either. Like weightlifting, a really tiny bit. CrossFit to the moon and back. This stuff's going on. But you don't see this happening in gymnastics, a sport that's a sport that has their stuff locked down on
Hmm.
everything. But also, I'm sure you could find plenty of missed calls and stuff on gymnastics, and there could be videos and stuff. It's a way bigger sport than CrossFit. The money is insane in gymnastics.
Yeah.
You could argue it is a way more prestigious sport, but they don't have these characters and stuff like that. I feel like those characters would just be like booted, like, hey,
Yeah.
you don't got to watch anymore and come to this event or anything.
Yeah. CrossFit is a younger sport and it's growing as it grew through forums and message boards and social media now. So it's a tough spot to be in. Yeah.
I think this is a situation of if we look at CrossFit as a gym, like it's an affiliate, there are clearly holes, right? If in your affiliate you have holes, someone will fill it. So if, let's say, for example, if you as a coach don't get to know your athletes, like you don't get to know what they do for a living, you don't get to know their dreams, their goals, their family, their recreation, that Ford. Remember, we talked about Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you don't get to know those things, and you're just all about like having a business and making money, then someone else who's charismatic who's a member will start to rise up in your gym and get to know people, and people will be endeared to them. And now they'll start being, well, you know what we need to change in this place. And people will be like, yeah, we need to change this in this place because you don't have that firm connection with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like CrossFit has that kind of an issue where they didn't establish a thing for volunteers and universal standards. Even though they have the online judges course, there have been issues with that since the beginning, you know. And that's really all you need to do to volunteer and do. Like they don't have like a commission for volunteers. They don't have a process. Like how can you be a level 1 official, level 2 official? There's not a thing like in weightlifting where you're a local ref. Then you have to do all this work to become a national ref and under the scrutiny of the highest level you can possibly get sitting behind you.
right.
You know, like when I was testing for it, I'm like, this feels real. When I take the level 1 CrossFit judges course, it's just a bunch of modules. I could call you and be like, hey, I can't pass the muscle up part. What's the correct answer? How many no reps, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that at weightlifting nationals, you know. And if you're going to be a category 2, category 1 IWF, not only do you have to pass here locally, the IWF still has to approve you and be like, all right, we saw the results. We think Miguel can get this license. There's nothing like that in CrossFit. And I know they have a lot of things to do. But again, CrossFit as a business seems more of like being an affiliate owner where you've got all this time, all this free time. Like you could do it, but you're just not doing it because you're not putting your attention there. I don't know. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Like if you leave those doors open, someone will walk through it and claim the space. And then now you have an adversary in your gym that you have to deal with now, you know?
Yeah.
And in most gyms, you need to kick that person out because you need to control the culture, but then you need to plug the hole and figure that out. I feel like that's where we are as CrossFit, as a sport and a community. There's so many holes. And I know that that's like the open source model on like, hey, start a business, things like that. But I think that's okay. You want people like Mobility WOD. You want that to pop up. And CrossFit's not going to own it and brand it, right? That was never how it was. If Miguel Porter opens up this thing that helps the community, the blessing would have been given by CrossFit. Yes, Miguel, do that, you know, and become a business owner and make money and take care of the community. I think that what we have is the other end of not meeting the need at all and some incompetence that sparks people to come in, and it's a negative way of doing it. Versus like Mobility WOD was a big positive thing. All of the seminars were positive things. CrossFit didn't try to own those outright. You know, Rogue is a good example. CrossFit doesn't own Rogue. You know, they're like, hey, build this business, take care of people, right? It's not CrossFit branded. They never told affiliates that we have to own Rogue. There was, again, Faster back in the day, and the fittest won, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good example. There was Muscle Driver USA, which was also for equipment. They went out of business. They weren't as good as Rogue. And also there are other problems with that too. But, you know, I feel like that was a good example of it. And now we have the problem member example of it too. I don't know how you fix that, you know?
Yeah.
I also don't think you can necessarily bring those people to the table to fix it. I think they've proven that they're too volatile to do that. I don't know. It's a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's very internet-y.
Yeah, that's part of it. It's too much social media, too much internet-y. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked things when they weren't internet-y. But that being said, let's talk about an internet thing real quick. That meme, since we're talking about CrossFit and the internet, let's take a look at this meme I found. So this popped up randomly on my feed. I don't even follow this account. I think this is just one of those things where if you're scrolling long enough, you will find stuff, or stuff will find you. But I found this meme. Let me share it here. Oh, hold on. Okay. So this is an account called WOD Zombie, and they make CrossFit memes, and they posted this one of, you're stuck on an 8-hour flight. What seat are you choosing? And we have a bunch of rows of seats, and the open numbers are the people that you can sit next to or in between. There are a lot of people on this list that I don't know who they are.
Yeah,
So
I
you
was
might,
also questioning that.
yeah. So either you will be able to help with that, or we just simply don't know who they are. And I didn't see names. And then there are people, of course, that we know who they are. And since I was just recently on a flight to go to Pittsburgh for nationals, that's why this really stuck a chord with me on like, where would I want to sit? Because I haven't flown in a plane since 2019, before this last trip. When was the last time you flew?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago from DC. I
Oh,
typically
okay.
fly a couple times a year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're on a plane way more than I am. I've only been maybe on a plane 5 times in my life, and I already have strict standards of what I need to have happen when I'm doing this. An 8-hour flight for me is torture. That 90 minutes, and we got to our destinations on all my flights for this last trip. 90 minutes, 40 minutes. That was great. I love that. Hour-long plane flights. 3 hours. Now this is a big investment. 8 hours. I think the last time I was 8+ hours, 10 hours was going out to San Francisco, many, many years ago. And that was brutal. I don't know. How do you fare on long plane flights?
Um, I'm okay. I now prefer aisle seats
Mm-hmm.
because I do have to stretch my legs out. Even though I'm a shorter person, just with with the way that my knees work,
Yeah.
it's good to have a foot that I can fully go out. I also used to like window seats because I don't typically need to get up at all. Um, and then I don't want to get up for somebody else who has to get up.
Yeah.
But again, you can't really stretch unless you're stretching into the middle seats kind of space as well. Um, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, long flights aren't too bad for me. I just like to chill out. But yeah.
I'll take a window seat, especially if I'm maybe going to try to sleep, because I like to lean up against the window there. But I am too preferring more of the aisle. I don't typically get up, but if I had to, I like the freedom. So I like the freedom aspect of the aisle. And then if you have to get up, you just go into the aisle versus trying to be hunched
Yeah.
up or have to scoot across another person if you're maybe the middle seat. My absolute worst nightmare in the world is the middle seat, um, especially if it's going to be for 8 hours. And that affected my decision on a lot of these as well. Let's kind of talk about who we got here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, 2 sides. Let's start on the left side here. One of these, I believe, is Colton Mertens, correct? One of these guys.
Yep. It's Colton Mertens, and Jason Hopper.
Okay, so we had Colton and Merton, and then an open aisle seat, which is already attractive to me. It's also at the front of the plane, I'm assuming. So you're getting off easy. I wouldn't. I don't know. Are you sitting in this row?
Um, I mean, it's an option for sure.
Yeah, I think for me too. Like this is high on my list. Now, I mean, I'm not talking to either one of them. My headphones are on. I don't, you know, I don't imagine I imagine they would be talking a lot together because they know each other. But I don't think I would have anything really to talk about with them either. You know what I mean? I don't know. How about you?
Um, well, it depends on what rules are we giving this. I feel like the rules should be that you can't just put on your headphones the entire time.
Oh,
That
okay.
you
All
have
right.
to interact.
All right. We have to interact. This. All right. Well, all right. Should we discuss each row or just talk about who the players are in this game? How do you want to do this?
Um, I think safest internet option is to just go with yeah, not thinking about the plane and getting out, or
Okay.
we can take aisle seat versus middle seat versus window seat into account, but just like yeah, let's go with who we would like to sit next to if we did have to like converse with them a little bit. throughout this 8-hour flight.
Okay. You go first. Maybe we can kind of do like I have several. So where would this is your third option. Crap, the other two are already taken. Where are you going?
Third option, I would probably say maybe 11.
11.
Yeah.
Okay. I am also saying, and I mean, that one is, but we're not talking about getting off the plane early, which I'm never in a rush either. I like an 11 or a 12 as well as a third option because it's near the bathroom too. I know people don't like to sit near the bathroom, and I know we're not supposed to be considering this. I can't not consider it. I also hate having to walk all the way down the plane to get to the bathroom. So being right next to it would be good. And see, I don't know.
But do you know who those people are?
Yes, Haley Adams and Daniel Brandon. See, I don't know if I'd have a lot to talk to them about. That's the thing. I feel like Daniel Brandon would be the more interesting conversation. Maybe. This is 8 hours, Miguel.
Right, yeah.
This is 8 hours. Man, this is hard. All right, I'll go Daniel Brandon. I'll go 11 too for my third option. It's near the bathroom.
Okay, so this will be our number 2 option.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about. All right. What do you have to talk to Daniel Brandon about? What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm sure it'll just pop up. Like, again, I think that's why I choose her, because she seems like a person who would just, like, beyond CrossFit, could actually have a human conversation.
Yes. So you're saying Haley Adams would not? As much.
No, I'm not saying. This is my third option.
Yes. Sorry.
I'm just saying that is the reason why I would choose her.
Can we consider other rows as well? Because I feel like the row in front of Daniel Brandon is potentially a very interesting row to eavesdrop on, because I don't think that they're particularly friendly.
If you want.
Okay. Well, the row in front of Daniel Brandon at the back of the train is Andrew Hiller and
Danny Spiegel.
Danny Spiegel. Okay. Oh, we got both Daniels back here, so that threw me off. It's Danny Spiegel. So I know they've had issues in the past. Okay, so that's looks like we're both trying to get to number 11 for third option here. What's your second option?
For my second option, I would say 6.
That is between Matt Frazier and Tia Toomey. So you're taking a middle seat here.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, this is are you allowed to put on your headphones at all? Like, or is this like you're talking for 8 hours? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you're talking.
Okay, so this is isn't this like a new trend now on people doing flights without like
that's a whole
headphones and stuff? Because Idris Elba did it or something like that. Okay. All right. So this is all right. So you got to talk to them the whole time. All right. So you're going to chat. Hey, sitting between two games champions isn't that bad, you know?
Yeah.
And I think they have different backgrounds enough where it would be an interesting. Here's a question for you. Daniel Brandon is a one-on-one conversation for 8 hours. That's a long 8 hours. But is this if you're sitting in a row of 3 people, is this a group convo for 8 hours?
I'm sure it rotates.
So you're gonna talk to Tia for a little bit. You're gonna chat with Matt. Are they interacting with each other as well? Are they going across you, or it's a 3-way conversation?
Yeah, I'm sure anything that they say across will be a 3-way conversation.
Mm-hmm. Is that awkward? Have you ever had I don't think I've ever been in that situation where you're between two people and they try to talk.
No.
All right. That's where, all right. Okay. My number 3, then I'm going to go number 8. Mostly because I would want to talk to Greg Glassman, and I feel like he could talk for the entire 8 hours alone, and it would be interesting stuff. And then Don Fall will just be there as well, and I would be interested in their interactions just with how everything is now these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can also still look out the window. You didn't say I couldn't look out the window.
You certainly can.
So that would check the box of a window seat, and because I can't go middle, I'm not going to go middle. All right, so that's my third or second.
Yep.
So what's your first?
First might be one.
Might be one.
Yeah. Again, I think that those guys have more things going on or are newer in the CrossFit space so that our conversation can be more than just about CrossFit. Like I know Jason Hopper was a football player, so like we could talk football and I know that other things are coming in that conversation.
Yeah. Not just CrossFit.
Right.
I can see that. I am also eyeing number 1 because of the aisle seat. And I do think that those guys could be like bros, like it could be fun to talk to them. And I agree that it wouldn't all be CrossFit. I think one of them is a farmer, so that would be interesting alone to talk about. I was also eyeing number 5 because it's a window seat, but now that I can't put my headphones on and ignore people, I think that doesn't work. I'm also looking at number 7, but I think I'm cheating at number 7 because I would assume if I was in the middle seat that potentially Dave would want to switch, which means I get a window seat. You know what I mean?
I don't know that. Yeah, that's not how that works.
That's cheating. That's cheating. Yeah. I would at first I was like, all right, if I go 7, then I feel like Savan would want to switch seats to sit next to Dave, and I could get the aisle and put on my headphones. That's how I was originally looking at this, right? But then when I saw that Greg Glassman was there, there's no way he's switching seats, right? But then I thought maybe Dave would want to switch. But then again, I could easily see Dave not wanting to switch because he would also want to put his headphones on and not talk to Savan for 8 hours, which means I'm stuck now in the middle seat and I have to talk to people. So, yeah, this is tough. I think I'm going number 1 as well. Although, if I was going to pick a middle seat, I would go Kalipa Froning.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm close to the bathroom, and I know I'm not supposed to consider that, but I think that would be also interesting conversations. You know what? I'll break my rule. If I'm going a middle seat, since I already got an aisle seat and a window seat, if I had to go on a middle seat, I'm going to go between those two. Which means I didn't order this correctly because that's maybe my more realistic number 3 because of where I like to sit. And then I'll go. All right, I'm changing mine, Miguel. All right, I'm changing mine because we added rules to this, so that changed my whole thing. I was gonna impart stories of people switching seats to help me get to where I want to sit. I'll go. My number 3 is between Kalipa and Froning. My number 2 is window seat next to Don Fall, and then my number 1 is aisle seat next to Daniel Brandon because I want the aisle seat, and those are actually the only 2 available. I think whoever made this knew that the aisle seat would be highly desirable.
I don't think that at all, actually.
You don't think so?
I don't think that they were taking into account that much.
Look at all the middle seats.
Because I think it's mostly who would you be okay talking to for 8 hours.
Okay, I need to change mine again. All right,
No. I think we're stuck.
hold on. This is 8 hours. All right, number three, Froning Khalipa, middle seat. All right. I'm stuck in the middle seat. I'm gonna talk to those two dudes. Lot to talk about there. Number two, Daniel Brandon, aisle seat. Number one, window seat next to Don Fall and Greg Glassman, because I think that would be the easiest, longest conversations for 8 hours. Just let Greg Glassman talk for 8 hours. All right, there it is. There we go.
Okay.
Sorry. Who are the two athletes at the top of the second row with the number 2 middle seat?
The one closest to the middle is Amy Kringle. She's from the UK. This will be her rookie year at the games. The farthest over, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, I originally thought that was Danny Spiegel. I have no idea who that is. Okay. Then we have below them Scott Panchik and Jeff Bridges. And that would be a middle seat sitting next to those two. Then below them is Matt Frazier and Tia Toomey, middle seat. Below them, Greg Glassman, Don Fall, and then window seat. Below them, a middle seat between Jason Khalipa and Rich Froning. And then at the back, a double seat, aisle seat available next to Haley Adams. And did we figure out who the second guy up here was? Do we know who that is?
On the left?
Yes, on the left.
Yes, Colton Mertens and Jason Hopper.
Oh, okay. All right. Colton Mertens. Isn't one of them hot or hurt right now?
I don't believe so.
Okay, maybe it's another guy. Below them, we have, that's Brooke, right?
Yep.
Brooke, what's her last name?
Wells.
Brooke Wells. And Sarah Sigmund's daughter. No Katrine Davis' daughter on here. Below them, that is that's the Kill Taylor guy, Taylor himself, and who's this other guy here? He's one of the an analyst, right?
I have no clue.
Okay. All right, and then below them, Dave Castro and Savan. Below them, that is Danny Spiegel and Andrew Hiller, and then we have Daniel Brandon at the back. Anyone not on the plane that you would have liked to have been on the plane to sit next to in the CrossFit?
Yeah, I think they did a weird thing here where they did a lot of CrossFit, quote unquote, like CrossFit guys, meaning like
internet
you put in,
personalities?
instead of actual athletes.
Yeah.
Like there's no Pat Vellner, there's no BKG, Brent Fikowski, like guys who've been competing in CrossFit for a bunch of years.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Like that would have been an obvious, like if I was making this, I would totally put like a Pat Vellner and Brent Fikowski and you're in the middle of them, or, like that's a row.
But
I feel like
this is also very much like a meme page. Like this is an internet CrossFit page. So maybe not the spaces that we occupy too much.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That does make sense. Who else? I do feel like, some of the commentators, like he's in the news a lot now, Sean Woodland, but some of those people would be interesting to sit next to. I feel like they would have a lot of stories. I'd want people who have stories, not necessarily just about the events they did, but like the surrounding stuff. I feel it would be interesting. Another one, so you could easily have a row of Sean Woodland and Chase Ingram, another commentator. Or isn't Adrian Conway a commentator now?
Yeah.
So you could have him on there, easy. I'm trying to think of any other athletes that I would want to sit next to and talk to. Oh, Ben Smith. Ben Smith would be a good one, I think. I'm trying to think of more of like the Khalipa Froning era, you know. Oh, I'm blanking on his name now. Chris Spieler. Could have a Chris Spieler around here.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyone else for you that's missing?
No, not necessarily.
Like a Katrin David's daughter should probably be on here too. Maybe there's a row. Katrin David's daughter and Ben Bergeron would be an interesting row. Okay, yeah, I thought that would be fun to look at where we'd sit. Maybe we'll have to make our own airplane one day on who should actually be on there and cut out some of the internet personalities. Or we'll make our own meme, Miguel. It's James and Miguel. You can sit between us if you want to. We'll insert ourselves on there. Why not? We'll see who picks that. Cool. All right. Well, that I think that about wraps it up. Anything else that you can think of, or is that everything?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Miguel, thank you for coming on again and doing an awesome job co-hosting. And I look forward to, maybe people look forward to hearing more about your CrossFit escapades as they come up, or maybe that'll dwindle away the closer we get to the New York State Championships. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Miguel, you have it right there in your name where people can follow you. Maybe just tell people where they can follow you if they're just listening.
Yeah, on Instagram at Couldn't Be Miguel.
Awesome. Follow me at James A. McDermott on Instagram. The Barbell Strikes Back on Instagram. All the things are on Instagram. But yeah, cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Miguel, thank you again for coming on.
Yep. Thank you.